We are here with Steven Espinoza 1 week out from the Canelo-Angulo pay-per-view here at the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York. And Steven, in your opinion, how has the promotion so far gone for the pay-per-view 1 week out?
It's been great so far. We're premiering our All Access series tonight, the Friday before the fight. We've got one more episode to go. And there's been a build of excitement. I mean, there's a real question about how Canelo will respond to his first loss. He's facing the biggest puncher he's ever had. He's headlining his first pay-per-view. So as accomplished and experienced as Canelo is, there are a lot of questions around this event. And when there's curiosity, that's great for us.
And I guess there are questions, and there is curiosity about whether his fan base will turn out, because there's something to be said about losing on the highest level because there are so many eyeballs on you. And when you lose to a guy like Floyd Mayweather, sometimes your popularity takes a hit. How are you tracking it so far? Do you think that rabid Canelo fan base is still there?
Well, if we look at some of the indicators we have, which aren't apples to apples, but certainly they give us a hint. When we did a sweepstakes. When we did a sweepstakes, for example, a year ago not quite a year ago, but Canelo Lopez, we did a sweepstakes, a giveaway, fly to Vegas, 2 tickets to the fight, a great prize package. We got somewhere between 25 to 30,000 entries. When we did it this time around, we did 130,000 entries. So literally quadrupled the number of entrants in the last Canelo sweepstakes that we did. So that's a positive indicator, and that is sort of across the board. If we look at ticket sales, we're a week out from the event. There are well under 3,000 tickets left. So we're probably at this point 2,000, 2,500 tickets left, which again is an indication that there really has been no drop in the interest level in his fan base.
And I'm sure, just to make sure that there is that added incentive, how much of a push do you guys have towards Golden Boy in saying, okay, well, we also need, if we're going to have Canelo versus Angulo in the main event, we also need a strong undercard. How much say do you have in that, in putting the kind of fights that you want as a network on there?
We have a lot of say, and it really hasn't been a struggle at all with Golden Boy. We've got 2 guys who have become a staple, really, of Showtime, Leo Santa Cruz and Omar Figueroa. Both those guys were sort of raised sort of on Showtime. Leo from Extreme Cards to CBS to pay-per-views. Omar we identified off of Showbox about a year ago this time as somebody that we really wanted to focus on. We didn't think that he would actually develop this quickly, but he's a big priority. Both he and Leo are big priorities. And then as a fourth fight, we don't often get a chance to do a fourth fight that's a world title fight to open the pay-per-view. So looking at this card and saying, we've got some very popular young fighters, 3 world title fights, really interesting fight to open up the card. I really couldn't have asked for anything more.
And I think what's been interesting, and it's a credit to you guys as a network, that even despite the Cold War, so to speak, the divide between the promotional outfits and the networks, it seems as though your network in specific, and Golden Boy, either because of pressure you've been putting on them or what have you, the quality of the fights that you guys have been airing has gone up. Is that because you're going to them and saying, listen, we're the only network that you're going to get these fights on, you better give us some quality stuff?
Well, I think it's shared. It's sort of a mutual common interest, mutual goals. The promoter knows that as the network, we're not going to drop a fighter after 1 loss. We're in this for the long run. We don't want all undefeated guys. We want guys who are entertaining. So therefore, we're not going to abandon Lucas Matisse after 1 loss. We're not going to abandon Adrian Broner after 1 loss. Those guys are going to continue to be interesting. A guy like Gabriel Rosado has lost, a couple times on our air, but we have no problem putting him back on because he makes great fights. He's really entertaining to watch. So, boxing gets a lot of heat for the Cold War and the fights that don't happen, most notably Mayweather versus Pacquiao. But the reality is we get it right most of the time. We made Mayweather-Canelo at the right time. We made Garcia-Matisse. We made, Broner versus Maidana. Those were the right fights at the right time. And maybe in years past, those wouldn't have happened as quickly as they did. But this year, there's a real commitment to growing the sport.
And historically, the biggest fights tend to happen anyways. I mean, very few of them do fall through. Let's talk about what will be probably the biggest pay-per-view of the year, barring what happens in September, Mayweather-Maidana, which was announced this week. Did you guys have a preference as to whether it was going to be Amir Khan or Marcos Maidana?
We went literally personally. I went back and forth, and other my colleagues went back and forth because there was really 6 of one, half dozen of the other, and we said that to Floyd. Is we're fine with either one. They're 2 very different fighters stylistically. Obviously, Maidana got the pick this time. It wouldn't surprise me to see Khan as a future opponent because they bring 2 different very styles to the table. One is all about intensity, ferocity, persistence, just coming hard charging and hard punching. And the other is really a style matchup in some ways, which comes as close as most fighters can to Mayweather in terms of speed and style. So I think either one would have been an interesting fight. I think the knockout power that Maidana is bringing to the fight makes it intriguing. But I think if Khan's the opponent, I think there's something to be said for the speed as well.
But at the same time, it might be an easier sell for you guys for it to be Maidana. I mean, there's a built-in sizzle reel of him beating up Adrian Broner that you can market that fight behind, right?
Yeah, if there was a tiebreaker and made it 51-49, that would probably be it. Just the momentum and the heat that Marcos has behind him. And we saw, really his trademark ferocity in that fight, the way he came charging out of the corner for the opening bell. That's what he brings to the table for the Mayweather fight.
Lastly, before we wrap this up, I know really that the only question on the table right now is where is that fight going to happen? Do you guys have any insight or input as to where that happens? Do you have a say in that?
We do have a say, and we've got a viewpoint that we've expressed. The reality is, it's a no-lose situation. Vegas has been great for big fights. That's where the fans are trained, to expect big fights. And the MGM in particular has been very supportive. We've got a great relationship. That's really Floyd's home and what's become the de facto, home for big fights in the U.S. It would add, a different flavor to have it outside Vegas. And Barclays has been very interested. And if they don't get this fight, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't get another Mayweather fight or a similar level fight in the near future.
Wherever it lands, we're looking forward to it. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.